Right, so I thought I'd stand up and talk to you very quickly a little bit about inspiration, kind of where to find it, and then how people use it in the real world, and then hopefully give you a little bit of an idea what to do with it. So inspiration, luckily for everyone, is absolutely everywhere. You can find it here, here, and more often than not here. So basically, finding inspiration, it's about looking for something where nobody else is looking for it. So if you've got a problem, don't just kind of think, well, it's not just always in front of you. It can be, it can be absolutely anywhere. So derail your thinking and look elsewhere for it. So what exactly is it? I kind of think inspiration is something that drives change. Back in the 90s, old Richard Branson wanted to launch an iconic cola bottle that would stand out in a crowded marketplace. So he took his inspiration for the bottle shape from another iconic shape of the time. Thus the Pammy bottle was born. Pam Ranson, not the only woman to have inspired designers. The Toronto Towers are apparently based on the curves of Marilyn Monroe. And then it's not just beautiful women that inspire designers, although it's probably most of what inspires them, to be honest. The nose of the high-speed bullet train over in Japan. So when they were designing this, they were having real trouble with the train. Like when they were coming out of the tunnel, there was like a massive boom. It sounded like an explosion. And basically the designer, he was thinking, how can we deal with this? So he was quite a bit of a nature enthusiast, not a naturist enthusiast. And he thought, well, what can I think of that interacts with its environment and basically doesn't disrupt what it's interacting with before it hits it. So the nose on the train was directly inspired by the beak of the kingfisher. And another one from nature. So I don't know how many people know sharks have a skin that's kind of made up of like tens of thousands of little sharp teeth, and that really sort of I guess it must be like the firmness in the skin. I'm not quite sure. Don't really know the science behind it, but basically that skin allows them to move faster in the water and become a more deadly predator. So Speedo thought, well, if we could create a fabric that allows our swimmers to move quicker in the water, that will obviously make them more efficient, better athletes. Not going around killing people, though. So that's kind of where inspiration's been used elsewhere. I thought I'd kind of give you a little bit of a run through of the sort of things that inspire me. I am inspired by football, not really the game itself, but more the kind of the culture that goes with it, all the fans, the stadia, just everything that kind of goes with it, just something that really resonates with me. I am also inspired by other artists. I think that's probably fairly standard for designers. This is a chap called Jasper Goodall. Around about 10 years ago, this kind of work here, these sort of semi-silhouetted, beautiful women, just blew me away. I couldn't get enough of it back then, and I kind of still can't. I still think it's awesome. As well as Jasper Goodall, I'm sort of, I guess, heavily influenced by pop art, the likes of Roy Lichtenstein and Andy Warhol. I think back to kind of when I was starting out, even back at school, they were kind of the people that really would get me excited. I'm massively influenced by music, and again, like the football, it's not really just the music, it's the culture, it's the album artwork, it's the bands themselves, what they're wearing, the ridiculous haircuts. I've had a few of them. And then some things inspire you for as long as you can remember being inspired, and then other things kind of pop in and out and don't, are just there for a short period of time. So at the moment, moving house, and every time I see a kitchen extension, I can't help but get a little bit excited. So that's that one. And then finally, I've kind of got a bit of a thing for photocopies. You give me a grotty old bit of photocopy paper, and I'll be very excited for a photo.
Good save.
Wow,
That's a good save.
We'll cut that bit out. So now we know kind of what inspires me. I thought we could kind of boil it down into a bit of a mathematical equation to try and figure out how we get to the work that you guys have seen that I do. So you take my love for pop art, kind of add that to a little bit of beautiful people, a few beautiful people, and kind of that's that. Times it by the music that I'm into, and that's kind of how we got to this, really. So I think it's not, you know, you look at them and you see them and you might think they're nice, you might think they're rubbish, but you probably never actually thought, how did we get to the finished article? And I guess I kind of hope that kind of shows you how we did that. Another thing that I'm quite passionate about is design and football. When I was growing up, we used to kind of see all this stuff everywhere, and it's just disgusting, isn't it? Nobody wants to look at that, nobody wants to stick that on their wall. So I thought, well, what can I do about it? So I started to visualise football in the way that I wanted to. And over the last couple of years, that's kind of started to filter through into a bit more of the mainstream. So working with Peterborough United a lot, not really mainstream. And then...
Definitely not.
Thank you. Says the Bristol City fan. And, you know, sort of more recently working with the likes of Soccer Bible up there. And a couple of months ago, quite proud to have Lucy Bronze, who's one of the Women's World Cup heroes from back in the summer. If you go on her Twitter account at the moment, her profile picture is the picture that I did. So that's kind of cool. Yeah, and I'm not the only person that's kind of been trying to change the face of football and design. Other people have been coming up with other cool ways of representing football and doing things, and you know, just kind of cool looking stuff. These have started to pop up here and there over the last few years. And finally, the big brands themselves. So this is a poster for Nike from the World Cup. And you know, you look back at what was on the last page, those horrible old posters, and now you've got this sort of thing, you know, done by some of the coolest artists in the country. So, you know, some things can change when you put your mind to it. So what should you do with your inspiration? Well, I probably can't tell you exactly what you should do with it, because that's the beauty of it. That's what inspiration is. It hits you at the moment that you need it. But when you have any ideas, I just put them in your notebook, write them down, get it down, don't, you know. Because I was once told there is no such thing as a bad idea. I actually think that's rubbish. There are loads of terrible ideas. However, although 99% of those ideas will never ever leave your notebook, that 1%, you might be there on a rainy day, you've got a problem, you might be trying to get something solved, and you're thinking, how on earth do I deal with this? You have a little flip back through that notebook, and in amongst all the rubbish, there might just be that little gem that you forgot about, and that might just save the day. So, I guess in closing, my advice is, get out there, get your heads up, start looking around, and get inspired. Thanks very much. Awesome. Do we have any questions?
Yes, I have one.
Oh, that's the one. Man never has any questions.
So you pointed out the things which inspire you. Are there things which you look at and lose your inspiration like instantly?
Yeah. Quite a lot of the time.
Can you point them out then?
It's normally something I'm in the middle of. I mean, I've got a terrible habit of getting quite bored with things quite quickly. So, I mean, none of the PMs know that. So, so kind of once you kind of been doing something for a little while, I can get quite bored of that, and that kind of turns me right off. I don't think there are things. There's never really anything that stops me being inspired. I guess almost things like the football stuff that was there, like stuff that does something that isn't inspiring in a strange kind of way is more inspiring because it inspires you to want to change it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. How do you so you're talking about the, you know, people taking design inspiration from nature sort of thing.
Yeah.
If you come across a problem like that, like a design problem, whether it's like engineering or you know, illustration or whatever.
Yeah.
How do you sort of like think of where to look? Because obviously there's an infinite number of places that you can start looking, but obviously if you have like a particular problem, like, you know, the shape of the train or
why would you ever think to go and look in the
Yeah, why would you ever
forest?
think, oh, I'll just go and look at a kingfisher, that'll give me an idea. You know what I mean? How do you sort of...
Well, I think what it is, I mean, you're often influenced by the things that you are interacting with at the time. I mean, I watched a video the other day of one of the head designers at McLaren, And he was talking about kind of where they get their inspiration from and that sort of thing. And he literally sort of like was sat at his desk, and all of a sudden he said, "Oh, we've got all sorts of bits and pieces here. I love stuff." And within 2 seconds, he kind of like pulls like a million things out of all the drawers and all the cupboard stuff. And it was like toy dinosaurs and like pictures of cats and all sorts of like weird objects and things like. And he wasn't looking at other cars. He wasn't looking at other engineering. He was looking at just the random crap that's about him. So I mean, I think most of the time, that's what I was saying about like you can get inspired anywhere. It's not, when you're sat in front of your computer and you're struggling with an idea, the best thing to do is get up and walk away. Go for a walk down the high street, go and have a look around, like literally get your head up and kind of just see. I mean, you can quite often be influenced by things that are just there, and like you don't even realise it. You might see a nice pair of shoes that morning, and the next thing you know, you're trying to build in the colours of those shoes into your bit of design or whatever. Yeah.
Might put you on the spot slightly, but is there anything that you've specifically done like that? So like you've had a specific design problem and then you've got up and walked away from it and saw something and been like, oh, that will help me solve that, if you see what I mean. Is there anything direct you can point to that's happened like that? Or is it just a general thing that happens like on a constant basis, if you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, like, I think most of the problems that I solve genuinely do come from getting up and walking away from the screen. I can't think of a specific thing. I mean, like last Friday we were sat there trying to brainstorm ideas for Cat, the mobile phone job, and we were sort of sitting there banging these ideas around. And it was only when I sort of like said, "Oh, excuse me for a second, a week," nipped off, came back and we had an idea that wasn't a bad idea. It was quite a good idea. So I think it's that kind of, like I said about like derailing your thinking, really. Not stop thinking about what you're trying to solve and just think about stuff and flip it on its head, turn it on its head, think about the opposite of what you're trying to do or something like that.
Matt, do you think you've kind of adopted a different style with your inspiration, knowing that you've got to get it past, say, a decision maker? If you're doing something for a client, do you do you keep them in mind when going through that inspiration, or do you try and keep it clear and open so it doesn't let you be too restricted?
Well, that's a tricky one. I think that I would say that probably if you're doing a pitch, you quite often will get a better solution than if you know a client really well, because you do, I think in time you start to understand what they will say no to. So you perhaps do already start to close off certain avenues, which actually is a really bad thing. I probably shouldn't have admitted that. But you do kind of get to a point, I think, with certain clients that all of a sudden you think, well, I know full well they won't say yes to this or this, and then you're left with probably something that's fairly safe and fairly dull. And actually, there's never any harm in showing somebody something a bit radical, because, like I was saying with the bad ideas, that could just spark something else. They might see it and say, well, I don't like this, but I love that, and all of a sudden you've managed to like whiz them off in a different direction that you thought was never possible.
I think Dave Trott in Creative Mischief said that they used to always submit 2 ideas to client, one that was within guidelines and one that was completely, rebelled against client guidelines. If you have more time, is it something you'd like us to do as an agency to push clients?
You'll always end up with a hybrid of a bit of good and a bit of bad.
Yeah, I know that we tend to only put out one solution nowadays, and that's not just here. That's the nature of, I think, how agencies are going. I think they're moving in a direction where we're being able to say, well, we trust, we are your trusted agency, so you should trust us that the solution we're offering you is the right one. But I mean, way back when, it used to be sort of 3. You always used to have 3, didn't you? And it was like, kind of like one that was like a really safe option, one that was a proper wacky option, and then you'd have the hybrid in the middle that was something a bit more safe. And I think what you used to get with that was actually you'd end up with like a horrendous monster of all 3. But I think I don't think it's a bad idea, but I think, so I guess if you were sat down and you said, in an ideal world, you have 2 designers, one of them's on brand, the other one's off brand, and it's like, run with it and see what happens. I mean, maybe that's you know, that would be like an ideal world situation and solution.
Do you think our design brief limits us then? If you're saying that if we know too much about the client that it restricts inspiration, do we need to re-style our design brief to get less from the client and let you be more free?
I mean, potentially. I mean, that's a really good question. That's a genuinely good question. I mean, it would be really good to see, wouldn't it? Maybe, you know, to trial it. You know, you have a client. I mean, I know there are times when we have clients that will refuse to fill in a design brief, and then it feels like you're trying to pick out what's in their brain. So there's a real importance to a design brief still. I don't think you could ever throw it out completely, but I do wonder whether there are particular questions that direct you in a certain way that doesn't allow you to be completely free. So that's, I would say there probably is scope for that to be a genuine change.
Nice. Friday support task for you.
Rewrite the brief form, please. Nice.